Let's talk about a classic problem for pretty much any investor. You see the incredible growth of the Nasdaq 100 and you want a piece of that action. But you also need income, a steady paycheck from your portfolio. For the longest time, it felt like you had to choose growth or income. But what if you didn't have to? Let's get into it. I mean, this is the big one, isn't it? You want to be invested in the most innovative, game-changing companies on the planet. But you've also got bills to pay, or maybe you're in retirement and need that cash flow. So how do you bridge that gap? How do you get a monthly check from companies that are famous for plowing every last cent back into growing bigger? And this slide really lays the conflict bare. Over here, you've got the Nasdaq 100. It's pure rocket fuel. We're talking Apple, Nvidia, Microsoft. They're all about capital appreciation. They're not exactly known for mailing out fat dividend checks. But over here, that's your goal. Keep that growth, but somehow, someway, add a monthly income stream on top of it. So how do we solve this puzzle? The answer is a strategy called a covered call. Now, I know it sounds super technical, but the idea is actually really simple. Think of it like this. You're agreeing to sell off a tiny slice of your potential future gains in exchange for getting paid some cold, hard cash right now. It's a really clever way to turn the market's natural ups and downs into actual income. So what does that look like in practice? Well, it's kind of like a four-step recipe. First, you gotta own the ingredients, right? So you own the Nasdaq 100 stocks. Second, you sell those call options we just talked about. Third, you collect the cash from selling them. They're called premiums. And finally, step 4, you bundle all those cash payments up and send them out as a monthly paycheck. Simple as that. Now, you could try to do all that yourself, but it's a lot of work. And that brings us to the tool that's designed to do it all for you. GPIQ, the Goldman Sachs Nasdaq 100 Premium Income ETF. This fund basically takes that four-step recipe and puts it on autopilot for you. All right, let's pop the hood real quick. The ticker is GPIQ. It's a newer fund, just launched in late 2023. But here's the really crucial part to focus on, the strategy. It's actively managed, and it uses dynamic call writing. Now hold on to that word dynamic because it's the secret sauce here. We're going to come right back to it. Okay, so what's the bottom line? What kind of income does this thing actually kick off? Well, recently, it's been generating a distribution yield of right around 10%. Now, and this is super important, that is not a guarantee. That number will dance around depending on what the market is doing. But wow, it really gives you a sense of the income potential we're dealing with here. So what does it cost to have the pros run this whole operation for you? The annual expense ratio is just 0.29%. And let me tell you, for an active fund that's constantly managing options, that's pretty darn lean. You're basically paying a small fee to let Goldman Sachs handle all the complexity so you don't have to. Okay, remember I told you dynamic was the magic word? This is why. See, a lot of similar funds use a static strategy. It's like a light switch. It's just on. That maximizes income, sure, but it puts a hard ceiling on your growth. GPIQ's approach is different. It's like a dimmer switch. They can dial the strategy up or down, trying to find that perfect sweet spot between generating income and still letting you participate when the market rallies. Of course, you know what they say, there's no such thing as a free lunch in investing. So what's the catch here? Well, it all boils down to one simple concept, the trade-off. You are making an explicit choice to exchange some potential home run upside for more consistent, right-now income. So let's talk about when that trade-off really works in your favor. This strategy is literally designed to shine when the market is not going straight up. Think about sideways markets, choppy markets, even slightly down markets. That's its home turf. In those kinds of environments, that income from the options acts like a buffer. I mean, the stocks themselves could be totally flat, but you're still collecting those cash premiums, which means you could be generating a positive return. And if the market takes a little dip, that income helps cushion the fall. It smooths out the ride. All right, but there's a flip side. When is a strategy going to feel like it's being left in the dust? It's pretty simple, really. During a roaring, vertical, face-ripping bull market, when the Nasdaq is just screaming higher every single day. So why does it lag then? It's because of the trade-off. In a massive rally, those call options that generate your income, well, they also cap your upside. You still participate, don't get me wrong, but you've sold away the rights to those absolute peak gains. This means GPIQ will almost certainly underperform a pure index fund like QQQ during a market melt-up. That right there, that's the price of the income. Okay, so we've seen how it works. We've seen the good, we've seen the bad. Now we get to the most important part. How in the world do you know if this is a good fit for you? Well, let's run through a quick checklist. This fund might be a really good fit for you if your number one priority is that monthly cash flow from your tech stocks. If you completely understand and are okay with giving up some upside as the price for that income, and if you actually like the idea of a professional manager actively fine-tuning that dimmer switch for you. And just as important, who should maybe pump the brakes? You should probably think twice if your goal is to squeeze every last drop of profit out of a Nasdaq rally, or if you think volatility is about to collapse, because no volatility means tiny premiums and less income. And finally, just be mindful of your overall portfolio. If you're already loaded to the gills with big tech, this is just more of the same. And so we end right back where we started, with the core question. This isn't about finding the quote-unquote best investment. It's about finding the best fit for your goals. So you have to ask yourself, is a smoother ride with a reliable, steady paycheck worth more to you than capturing the absolute tippy-top peak of a wild market rally? That's the decision GPIQ asks you to make.